What is up, friends? Welcome to the third video of our Intro to Java web series. In today's video, we're going to be going over variables and getting user data. So we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to create our class. We're going to do public class. This is something we've gone over in the first video. If you haven't seen the first two videos, hop on back and then come back to this video. So we got public class. What are we going to name it? I'm going to name it user input. Now I'm going to bracket it off. I'm going to create a block. So I got public class user input. You see it's in title case. Now what I have to do is create a main method, which is public static void main string bracket args. Like I said, we're going to be seeing a lot of this main method, a lot of creating the class. This is the main structure of Java programming. You create a class, and within that class you have the main method. So now what I'm going to show you is variables. So what is a variable? A variable is just a storage location in your computer that holds a certain type of data. Now there's a lot of different types of data. We got integers, we got Boolean, double, string, all types of stuff. But in today's, we're just going to be doing strings and integers, just to give you a quick start so I don't tell you too much and confuse you. Now, when declaring your variables, you have to do a couple things. First, you got to comment that you are declaring your variables. And in this exercise, I'm going to have two different variables. I'm going to have a string variable, which is the type where it's just words. For instance, a name would work well with string. Can also be numbers, but then you couldn't use those numbers as integers. You couldn't do mathematical operations to them. They're really just words in a thing. So you can also see in our main method that we have a string right here. What this means is that there's a string array within our parameters of the main method. So string just means there's a bunch of words that are going to be found within this block statement. So to initialize or declare a variable, you got to declare the type first. So the type is going to be string. So I'm just going to call it string, right? And then after that, we're going to name that variable. We're going to name that storage location. So what I'm going to do for this storage location is I'm going to call it name. Or actually, I'm going to call it first name, because we're just going to have them put their first name. Because I want to show you camel casing. Because we heard of title casing, which is up here, but this is what camel casing is. So when naming this variable, I'm going to call it first name. Now you see it's different from the title casing. This title casing has uppercase for the first word and the second word, but camel casing, it doesn't have a capital letter for the first word. So you see it's a lowercase f name, right? And we can set it to something, but right now we're just going to declare it. I'll show you how you can set the string into, or set something into the string. You can tell them what the data is. So we got string first name, and then we're going to do int age. So we're going to have someone put their age. So we got int age. So for integer, you wouldn't spell out integer, you just put int. So string, int are a type of variable, and then when declaring them, we have to name them. So we have a string called first name and an int called age. And like I said, it's just a storage location. So somewhere in the computer, there's space made that will allow you to put a string called first name and to put an int called age. Now, to get user data, what we'll have to do is we'll have to prompt the user to put in their first name and their age. So what I'm going to do a system.out.print, which is something that we have gone over in the past videos, something we've used a lot. And what I'm going to put in here is I'm just going to ask the user for their name. So we're going to put enter first name. And I'm also going to add a little thing right there and a little space. So that way it looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this program and then I'm going to compile it. So I'm going to save as, I'm going to put it in my folder. Now the file name is the name of the class and it's going to be of type Java. Boom. It's going to be an SI. and I'm going to click Save. So now that it's saved, I can compile it here. So I'm going to compile Java, no, that's the wrong one. Let's go back. I'm going to do Java C, then I'm going to put user input dot Java, enter. So it looks like there's an error. It says cannot find symbol. That's because I put a capital I instead of a lowercase one. Very simple. So I just have lowercase now. Save. Boom, no errors. Awesome. So now I am going to run this program. So I'm going to do Java user input, enter. And it says enter first name. Now, to get it so someone can enter their first name, we're going to have to do a couple things. Now first we're going to have to import a class from Java. So Java has some classes that are used. They knew that people were going to have to do a certain type of thing a lot. And what we're going to do is we're going to import the scanner class. So to import the scanner class, all you have to do, you're going to be outside the public class, you're going to be outside the main method. You're going to type import java.util.scanner. We're going to end it with a semicolon. So what that means is that the scanner class is called. And the reason we do that is so we can input the keyboard. So now we can get user input from their keyboard and they can click enter and do certain things. I'll show you how that's done. So I'm going to comment out, get user input, and then we'll put first name right there. So I'm going to put that here. And then below that, we're going to declare, do comment, declare keyboard class. So what we're going to do is we're going to call keyboard. All right, so keyboard is a scanner. It was within the scanner class. So to declare it, we're going to do it a lot like these variables. We're going to have string int. But the keyboard is not a string or an int. It's part of class scanner. So what we're going to do is we're going to do scanner, like it's the variable name, and then we're going to type in keyboard. It can be anything. Like I said, the first name, it could be anything you want. You can name it anything, but I always call it keyboard because it's easy to remember. Now, we're going to set that equal to something. So it's going to be equal to new scanner. And then we're going to put parentheses system.in. So that's how you declare the keyboard. All right, so this is something you're just going to have to remember. Just like I said, you have to remember public static void main. You're going to have to remember scanner. You name it. You're going to use this new scanner.system.in. That means now that we can get input from the user from the keyboard. Now the interesting thing with these variables is that you can initialize them or you can set them as things. So I'm going to have the user, I'm going to prompt the user to enter their first name, and then I'm going to use that first name variable and I'm going to set it to whatever the user puts into the keyboard. And to do that, you're going to use first name, you're going to use that equals sign, and you're going to put keyboard.next line. You're going to put parentheses. And what that does is it's going to, whatever the user puts in as their first name, it's going to be declared as the first name. And to prove that, I'll do a quick display first name, a quick system, .out.print. I'm going to do print line because it'll look better. And then I'm going to put that first name variable in here. So I'm just going to put first name and put a semicolon. So now I'm going to save and compile and I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to get user input and then I set that variable, that memory location, and whatever data the user puts in, that's what it's going to be. So I'm going to compile. I'm going to run it. So it prompts me for my first name. I'm going to put Tanner. Actually, I'm going to just put something wild so you know I'm not tricking you. I'm going to put just a bunch of letters, whatever that is. And I'm going to press enter. And then it prints that name. It prints that variable. It finds the data in that memory location and then it displays it onto the computer. You see how that works. Now, you see this method right here. It says next line. For integers, it's actually something else. So after we get the first name, what I want to do is prompt the user to get their age. Get user input age. So to do that, we'll have to prompt them with a system.out.print. And I like to use print when we're using getting user information, because as you can see, you can type it to the right. If there's a print line, you'd be typing below it, and it just doesn't look very good. We're going to print enter age. We're going to put a little thing right there. And then we're going to set the variable int age to whatever they type into the keyboard. So age is equal to keyboard. And in this, instead of dot next line, it's going to be dot next int. And we're going to put the little parentheses there. Put that. Now, we're going to display age. To do that, it's system.out.println age, which is the name of this variable. And notice that I don't have it in quotations, because the quotations are unneeded if you're assigning it to a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save, I'm going to compile, and I'm going to run this program. See what happens. Compile, no errors, Java user input. It says enter first name. I'm going to put my name, Tanner. Then my age. What is my age? I'm 25, so I'm going to put 25. Enter. And then you see it prints my first name and my age. That's how you get user data. I know it seems like a lot, but just look at this program. I would say copy it down. Be sure you're documenting everything with comments. Like I said, the more you practice these things, the more you'll get used to them. I know a lot of my assignments, it requires getting user input. So you have stuff like this. You can also, when you declare your variables, you can set them to something. So I can say my first name is Tanner up here. Actually, I need those in parentheses. So I can set it as Tanner. This also requires parentheses. And I can also print that out right now. And I'll show you how that's done. Dot print line. We'll do first name. So up here, my first name is going to be Tanner. But after that, it's going to ask me to enter my first name, and then first name will be made into something else. So I'll show you how that works. I'm going to save, compile, run it. See, it already has Tanner written up there, so that was what it used to be. Now I'm going to change it to that madness. Press enter. Enter age, 25, enter. And you see that the name, that variable, has changed. It's something else. It's no longer Tanner. It's ALSKDFOII, something random. So that's how you get user input. So just take a good look at it. See what we're doing. Let's go through the algorithm real quick. So we got our main method. We declare our variables. We have one of type string called first name. We have one of type int called age. Then we declare our keyboard class, which will allow us to get the user keyboard entries. So that would be of type scanner. That's after we imported the scanner class up here, and that is outside the class and the main method. And then it's scanner keyboard equals new scanner system.in. So just take a good look at that, remember it, because you're going to be using it a lot. You'll be seeing it in a lot of my examples, so if you don't remember it now, you'll see it later. Then we get user input first name. We prompt the user by using a print statement, telling them to enter their first name. Then we set that variable equal to the keyboard entry. We do the same thing for age, and then we display those variables to see if it was working. So that's how you get user input. And in our next video, I plan on going over if-else statements. This is going to be a new topic. I'll show you how to use those if-else statements. But if you're following along with these codes and practicing, it should be no problem. But other than that, that ends this video. Y'all have a great day and happy coding.